If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. Good night from the Dusty Wheel. As we say around here, smash to black.
If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. Good night from the Dusty Wheel. As we say around here, smash to black. Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. Tonight, we're back on a Saturday evening, and this is because today we had some fun going out to FanX. It's a Comic-Con that's in Salt Lake, and two of my friends were there with me. You know them both really well, and I'll introduce them here shortly. Omar of WoTSeries and Lauren of Unraveling the Pattern were there with me on a panel talking about the state of the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. And I want to get their opinions about it and talk about some of the news and show you some of the work we've done here. But it's a little bit of a beta test tonight. Yeah, there's going to be some audio quirks. It's just what it is. We're going to have some fun with you. But basically, I'm going to talk to my two friends who are in the studio with me. So that's right, everybody. Let me welcome to the Dusty Wheel Omar and Lauren. How you both doing, Omar? How you been?
Good, good. Hello, everyone. I actually can't believe you talked me into being on that panel. We had the panel right before us were actors from The Mandalorian, so it was nerve-wracking to go right after them, but had a lot of fun doing it. It was time was short because we can talk about Wheel of Time forever, but appreciated being part of that and being here live on the show with you. So, Lauren?
Yeah, thank you. It was really fun to be there. I was kind of surprised about the turnout, and I imagine next year the turnout's going to be insane because, the show's coming out. But it was great to meet you guys in person and to hang out a little bit, and it's great to be in the inn right here where all the, magic happens. You can actually see.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, exactly.
So I think there were, I want to say maybe 100, and I think my wife counted them, there were 117 people. 117 people. Did that surprise you, Omar, that we had at least that many, or did you think there was going to be more?
I honestly didn't think we were going to get that many people. I was hoping for less people so we can not freak out as much. And it's almost, we're fans. We're very close in this community. All the people that are watching, we're always watching the Dusty Wheel together. So we like to have the intimate conversation. But surprisingly or otherwise, it looked like most of the people who were in the room have seen the trailer, have read the books, maybe don't follow the show as closely as we do. But it was kind of exciting to be able to talk about it and to get prepared to what will come next year at FanX and at other shows once the television show becomes popular. So, but it was really exciting to see.
Yeah, I one thing I thought was really interesting was the room, if you were there, you weren't there, but if you saw this room, it was huge. It probably could have fit another 300 or 400 people. And the Mandalorian panel was that the Mandalorian panel did go, and it was packed full of people. And then as everyone like walked out, I was like, okay, actually this might be kind of chill. Like we might not have to do like it's not gonna be like this overwhelming thing. But I really loved that we had a good crowd. And I mean, I want kind of curious, Lauren, what were your observations as far as the people that actually were at the panel with us? I mean, we're hardcore fan freaks, you know. We cover this every day. What would you say about the other people that were there viewing?
Yeah, I was like, no one's lining up. Is anyone going to come to this? And I think a lot of the people from the Mandalorian thing just stuck around. I think they were just excited to stay. So that was nice. But I do feel like we kind of did them a bit of a service. I mean, we talked about specifically things related to the show and production. I think a lot of the things were new to these people, and I think that was great. And I had a few people approach me afterwards who wanted to talk about the cast and other things. It was neat to have that kind of experience. I can't wait for Jordan Con, where I can do that with even more hardcore fans. But yeah, it was really fun, and the people, they seemed really excited. I mean, some people got up and asked questions, had concerns about certain changes. Thought it was a great conversation.
Yeah, I remember. It was nice that we had some fans. Michael from Facebook, if you're watching this, thank you very much for showing up. Alyssa showed up. I think there was a Whitney came up and said hi. Tomas. I could tell there were some fans that knew about what we were doing, but I would say that room was full of people that had no idea who the three of us were. That seemed kind of accurate. Like there wasn't. They were all fans of the books. We polled everybody, by the way. That was there, and we asked them who had read the books. Basically, everyone in the room had read the books. Everyone was excited about it, but basically, no one was as following it like we were. Right? I mean, did that surprise you, Omar? That the people that were there maybe were not aware of some of these minutia details, or do you just feel like it's probably just the core group that's in chat and us here at the bar?
Well, I felt some people, if you're going to FanX and you specifically sought out the Wheel of Time panel, you might be following to a certain extent. But again, not the day to day, not our Dusty Wheel, the people who follow Twitter of Time and, who are on the Facebook groups, etc., and read our website and watch Lauren's videos and Nablus and What Up and etc., and listen to all the podcasts. So, and there was some of that because sometimes when I think at one point you mentioned a couple of the content creators and did you watch this video? And a couple of people raised their hands. So we had some of those in there. But also that is kind of cool because we have our bubble, but it's good to know that the bubble is bigger outside of what we do and is going to continue to expand and then is going to include new fandom coming in that are TV show centric and hopefully they'll pick up the books. But it was fun. And like I said, the only thing is time ran out real quick. We covered many topics. We try to summarize the show and what's been happening with locations and budgets and actors and casting and crew and everything in a very short period of time. And we all know that we can take any one of these topics and talk about it for hours. So just to be able to at least give them a taste and get them ready was really cool.
Yeah, I love this comment. The bubble is growing. I saw someone in chat. Yeah, Brother Buddha said the bubble is growing. Yeah, I absolutely agree. The bubble is growing. And if you're just joining us, we're just chatting. We're doing our first in studio. Basically, this is the first time Taylor built. If you're looking at what you see back here behind these two gentlemen, Taylor built this part of the studio. This is a singular room. And we look forward to kind of continue building this piece out. But yes, nice job, Taylor, on this. Props to Taylor. Those of you who probably don't know this, it is Taylor's 21st birthday, or was yesterday. Taylor's 20, yeah, exactly. Taylor's 21st birthday. Please help me congratulate Taylor on hitting 21. And in the process of this, he was working on the studio. I said, "What are you doing on your birthday?" And he was like, I got to get this thing ready. So I appreciate you putting the time in, Taylor, for this. It's been a blast. But yeah, this kind of fun thing we're able to do with you two being here in town for the panel at Comic-Con, and just being able to kind of talk about this. I got the feeling from the people that were watching Lauren at the panel that the biggest concern they had were changes. you want to speak to a little bit about, like, what did you get the feel from the audience? Because I know you said some people talked to you afterwards. What was their pulse when it came to changes?
Yeah, I think as Omar sort of said too, we're in that bubble. We're so connected to the changes. A lot of us have already kind of come to grips with some of the things that maybe we used to be concerned about. We've read all of Rafe's Q&As. I feel like I'm totally happy with what's coming.
Yeah.
And people might call me a shill or whatever on my comments, but the truth is, I'm just excited for more Wheel of Time, and I think we communicated that to the people. But a lot of the people in the room, some of them even got up to ask questions during the panel. That was their concern. They love these books just as much as we do. Everyone has a personal connection with these books, and so. But they're not aware of all the things that are changing. And I mentioned in the trailer there are a lot of shots of things that aren't in the book, and that was probably intentional. They wanted to really show us this is our Wheel of Time. This is how Rafe wants to do this, And I think some of them, I think there may be a bit of almost like a knee-jerk reaction, like a concern. But talking to these people afterwards, even though they were a little bit concerned, they are also understanding, and they just don't want their beloved story to be ruined, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of these concerns, I really hope, will just kind of get swept away as the show comes out, as it becomes more popular, as that core audience grows. But it may never perfectly satisfy everyone. I'm sure we'll all have some nitpicks. That's just the nature of it. But I think some of these people just need to be given a little more time, like we've had. I mean, we're obsessive about it, right? So.
By the way, and they're saying this is a beta test. They're saying hold that mic closer.
Oh, am I not talking loud enough? I apologize.
No, I noticed that too. That was one of the things that, like, we've all kind of had time to, and those of you that are watching, you've been watching this and other channels, and you've been following Twitter of Time. We've all had a lot of time to kind of get acclimated to all the things that Rafe has said, and we mentioned these things in the panel, but people aren't following these things as closely, right? They might see the trailer, go, "What's this?" Thank you very much, Ryan, Timms, and I haven't caught. I apologize. Oh, Kaz, there we go. Kaz, I don't know, Taylor, if you can throw this one up on the screen. Kaz, thank you very much. Said cheers to the three of the hardest working Watt fanboys out there. Thank you, Kaz, very much. Yes, that's a great way to put it. And Ryan, Timms, Tyshar, Taylor, excellent work. Duty is heavier than a mountain. Death is lighter than a feather. And someday, Taylor will know what that means. So thank you very much. To many more of these moments. This is, and for those who are watching, this whole studio, this whole idea is once we actually can get to the actual show being released, and I hope to have more guests. Maybe we'll fly some guests in, and we'll actually be able to chat here at the bar, have a drink. You guys will get seated right here. That's right. Grab a mug, if you will, and that's the whole point of this place, is to actually have a physical location where eventually we can do these things, and we will integrate Zoom and virtual people talking along with us, and we'll integrate phone calls into this live in-studio experience. So I thank you both for being here. Now, Omar, you were up on the stage with us, and I loved being able to turn to you and be like, so the budget, your depth of what WoTSeries covers is amazing, and I could tell out in the audience that people were listening really intent to both of you. So I'm kind of curious, do you have another story? We're going to talk about one of the stories, you guys. Do you have anything that you guys are working on that you can give us? Is there a sneak peek to anything that we would want to know as hardcore fan freaks that are coming up from WoTSeries?
Well, there are a couple things that I will never talk about. So, a lot there. I work with three wonderful people, Geeky Aries, Sarah, and Lane, and sometimes we joke, we're like, we finished the internet, it's time to start over. On a side note, I just wanted to mention, not to go back to changes, but just really quick, is that we have a unique perspective of having seen so much about the show in the background that I think anything regardless of changes, anything that people put so much work into is worth giving a chance to and worth watching. And I think at the end of the day, I think I'm gonna like it given everything that we know about it. So I just go into it with that. But again, this is a show that has all the resources and a lot of people put a lot of hard work. Now, one of the things that I will mention that we just released a story about location, so maybe we'll talk about that real quick. But one of the things that we're hoping to put out as a website, we always tell you what we know. I think we're going to put out a piece soon about the things that we don't know. And I think that's not a bad perspective because again, what we've all been doing, not just WoTSeries, but all the content creators and the fans and Twitter of Time and the Facebook groups, we've all been trying to dissect, like Lauren mentioned during the panel, frame by frame, even down to pixels within frames, trying to find out things. So we found out all the things that we can find out, and we continue to do that. But what are the things that we know that are just unknowns, and again, there was a couple of people talking about this today. Elias, is he going to be in season 1? Where will the season end? Some of these things. So we're going to try to summarize. We have a list of things these are things that we don't know. What are the names of the last 2 episodes? Nobody knows. And it seems like just a decision that Rafe answered. One of the questions is that we just never put it out because that's when Amazon took the keys to social media, and now I didn't get to show you the script front pages. So that's one of the next things. But the last thing that we actually put out was a story by Geekieri about some of the locations that we're expecting to see, and specifically some filming for season 2.
Yeah, let's cover that. Let's kind of talk about this idea of filming locations, Italy, and more. Maybe for those that are kind of watching right now that have not read this entire article, what are some of the highlights of what Geekieri, discovered?
All right, so one of the new pieces of information, which you have on screen right now, Barandov Studios, that was almost any time that you see crew hovering around that studio, it was mostly Carnival Row, because that's where they used to film everything. The Andre, sorry, forgot the last name, who's the set designer for the Wheel of Time, he actually built the village, or whatever you want to call it, the town, at Barandov Studios that was used for Carnival Row. But we found out this for the second season, it looks like the Wheel of Time production will actually be filming there, in addition to Jordan Studios, which is another story that we covered, where they're filming in Prague. So those are 2 studios now that we have, and then there's the back lot where they're doing Tarvalon. This is my 7th time today that I do that. And then Italy was a big one because we've seen some of the cast and crew in Italy recently. We saw initially a couple months ago, we saw the director of photography, David Moxness, out there, looks like scoping or scouting for locations. And then we saw the new director, Sana Hamri, who is just confirmed, by the way, for half the season. It looks like for season 2. She was out there in Italy. And then we have a local news article that talks about filming between September 14th and September 23rd in Italy. So that's all exciting news, obviously. Italy is now probably the 7th or 8th country/region that the series is filming in. So every time we hear more about these things, it's a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I saw Geekieri had this question up. I think she posted it on YouTube about location. Do you have, for you, Lauren, when it comes to Italy, do you have a location in mind in season 2 where you think that those locations, or I don't know if you saw the story, have read through this, where do you think this is happening at?
I can only speculate, but I would like to think it's Camelin. I'm guessing that a lot of people probably went there, right? That they hope that it's Camelin, that we're going to get more time there. I wonder too, though, if we'll see a little bit more of Tarvalon. Yes, I say Tarvalon. I'm not going to say Tarvalon unless the show says it. I refuse. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of other locations. Kyrian, perhaps, would be another one, considering they may be doing book 2 there.
I mean, this image right here, that we're looking at that screen, it makes me feel like it's something very coastal, potentially. So, Tyr. But Falma? I mean, if they did, and maybe this is a question, I'll poll the audience here because this is a fun one, where do you think season 2 will end? right? So what do we have here as options? I would say Tyr is an obvious potential. Falma. Is there any other location where you would say we should add as an option for season 2 ending, as far as kind of like the big? Yeah, season 2. Yeah, do either of you have, like, other than Tyr or Falma?
I think if there's been talk about, because you have Falma and you have Ebudar and you have Tyr and Ilion, there might be some coastal towns that get combined. But if I were to guess what the shoot in Italy, given we know that, we don't know, but we speculate that season 1 covers most of the Eye of the World and maybe a little bit of the Great Hunt. So maybe we get to see Seanchan and we see Falma coming up. So the filming in Italy, if I were to take a guess, it would be that, because of some of the people, some of them don't make sense. You see Priyanka Bose there with her 2 warders. That's Alana and Maxim and Ivan. And then we see, I believe, Madeline Madden was there, and the rumored Elaine Trakan there. So that might tell us that it could be there in Falma because of some of the events that we know happen there. But where it would end, Tyr would make sense if we're going to combine some pieces of the Great Hunt and the Dragon Reborn into the second season and have Matt Cawthon hopefully blow some stuff up in the Stone of Tyr. So.
Oh, let's hope he blows something up. Okay, let's ask everybody. Now we've said that, I didn't see any other options. Let me look through the polls here, see if anyone threw anything else other than Falma and Tyr. Abudar? No, they were talking about that this could be like, this image potentially could be. I can't imagine it ending any other place than Tyr, or like where the big action happens. Do you have any other ideas here before we just make it between these two? I guess I can do other as a third option. Would you throw anything else in there, Lauren? No? Okay. So here you go. Where do you think season 2 will end? Because we obviously believe that it's Faldara. That's from season 1. That doesn't seem like it's a seems like it's a foregone conclusion now. So we'll say Tyr, Falma, and then we will add other, and we'll give the others an option here. So let's ask everybody in chat where they think this is going to end. And the reason why I bring this up is, we start to see, like, Omar, you've mentioned some of these locations where they're shooting. It doesn't make a ton of sense. Alana and her warders, potentially, if this was, for example. But I'm trying to think of how would you tie, something like that into the show. You have Leandrin, is there a way? Have you thought of a way that you could get Alana? If this was Falma, for example, do either of you have an idea of how you'd get Alana there?
Well, I'm just spitballing. I hadn't thought about this before, but we know that some Aes Sedai were captured by the Seanchan, right? Is it possible that they make that one of the Aes Sedai we already know and like? It could certainly be a character like Alana's character. There were also 1 or 2 Aes Sedai that didn't escape, right? And I think there was maybe 1 or 2 that did. I don't remember exactly. So it's possible that they have an Aes Sedai we know also getting captured along with Egwene. That to me would work. And one of the things on the poll that I think some people think, myself included, that they may somehow combine Tyr and Falma into the same ending. Not necessarily that they'll move those in the map, but they just may end up in Tyr. But we may see the battle with the Seanchan and possibly the individuals in the sky and all that. I don't know how spoilery we want to get here, but I think it may be that, because one of the problems with the first 3 books is everyone separates, everyone gets back together, everyone separates, everyone gets back together, and there's a fight with Balsamon at the end of each one, right? So I think it's very possible that they'll combine Falma and Tyr into one place. It'll probably just be Tyr, and we'll get the Sword in the Stone combined with the defeating of Balsamon in the sky. That's my guess, and I think John from What Up also speculated that would happen.
Yeah, so this is a good question, and I have to show this other image here from, if you remember from this article from WoTSeries that we're talking about, says that as part of this, a local news site has revealed that filming is occurring near the city of Ostuni at the, I'm not going to say these very well, but Miseria Borsone. This one is the image that comes up immediately. And that image does kind of give, for me at least, more Tyr vibes than Falma vibes, but I could be wrong here. So, that doesn't mean they're going to use this cityscape or something to that effect. So yeah, I'm kind of curious what everyone's come up with so far here in chat. The voting here has looked like tier is where everyone. Oh wow, okay, that surprises me. Omar, does that surprise you that fans look at this question that are here with us, at least, or these hardcore fan freaks showing up on a Saturday night talking with us? Does it surprise you that they're leaning towards tier?
Well, let's take a quick step back. We're talking about two things. Filming in Italy, where is that going? I don't think the filming in Italy that's currently happening is the end of season 2.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think that might be in season 2, maybe. Again, assuming we know that Thomas Napper was the director. If we follow the same formula as season 1, he will be directing episode 1 and 2. Speculation. We don't know that for certain. We only know that he's directing the first episode. So if he's directing the first 2 episodes, Sanaa Hamri comes in and she is filming right now. She would be directing episodes 3 and 4. So if we're doing that, that's not where the episode ends. And let's add another layer of complexity. When Rafe one time talked about, we can't have 17 villages and 5 major cities. Can't afford that. So what we're going to do is maybe 3 big cities and a couple of villages. So let's assume now the build out that they did for Emmons Field or the 2 Rivers is out of the way. We have Tarval and Backlot. So we might need a Camelin/Carian. We have Tier to end season 2. I agree with that. That's a good guess. I would make the same guess. And then we might have Falma. They can combine them and I can be wrong. But if we're doing in the middle of the season, maybe the Seanchan now come in and we are in Falma. And some of those, what we're looking at, these farmhouses and the courtyards, that's, I can imagine High Lord Turok having taken over the biggest one of these. And, so again, Tier is a good guess to end season 2. I would combine those 2 books, like What's Left of the Great Hunt and The Dragon Reborn. I would combine those 2 because we need Rand by the end of season 2 to be who he is.
Yeah, and Sarah did point this out. I was just getting excited about the image here at the top. Yeah, this is just by. I think this is by. I'm assuming this is the city of Ostuni. I just love the look at that, and I was like, that looks like Tyr. Sarah pointed out that yes, where what was reported was the Chies Maseri Borsone, which is this image right here. I love this kind of farmhouse. I don't know if that's how it kind of looks. And then you have the farmhouse or the Masieria Los. Like I'm killing names. Spanulo. And I like the idea that you're saying this could be, maybe some scenes about, when it comes to Lord Turok potentially in this this location. So I love that idea. Yeah, again, for those of you that are watching, I was just getting excited about like, oh man, I would love to see it. Like, this gives me Tier vibes. They're not that they're using this image up here. It just gives me kind of Tier vibes while we were talking about this topic. So thank you, Sarah, for pointing that out. That's not where they were exactly filming. So I appreciate that. No, I think you're right. When I think about this, it becomes really difficult to not go to Tier in season 2, and so it's tough. It's tough because what does season 3 become then? If you did just Falma at the end, every season can't be the end of a book that we 1, 2, and 3. I can't see a season 3. Lauren, are you concerned? Does cutting Tier itself just make sense?
I was thinking about it, and you brought up a good point. They're not probably filming the end of season 2 yet, and so if they're in Italy now, and we assume that this is Falma or Tier, I mean that doesn't mean that's where it's going to end. I actually am now starting to think it's probably more likely that they'll have Seanchan be kind of the focus of the first half of season 2, and then we'll probably get to Tier by the end. I actually do like the idea of going all the way to Falma on one side of the continent, and then going all the way over to Tier on the south, the southeast. I like that idea. I think a lot of seasons of TV these days, when you only have 8 episodes, a lot of times they'll have kind of like a really big climax right in kind of mid-season, and then they'll go into almost like a secondary story for the second half of the season. So I could see them doing that. I think also it would be a good way to introduce Bazalman as sort of like a threat, but not necessarily the baddie that they conquer 3 times in a row. I think it might be good if he's sort of seen behind the scenes or something, but it isn't until the final tier moments that we finally see that come to fruition, right? Where Rand actually faces off the Dark One, right? I think that would actually be really interesting. And now I'm kind of backtracking from what I said before. I like the idea of Falma being kind of mid-season, and then Tyr being end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's Falma being mid-season, Tyr being end season. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Can they do it all? This is that whole issue that we had with season 1. You know, could you get to the end of book 2? could you get all the way there? You know, in a single season. I think we're gonna. I think we'll convince ourselves we can. Not that they necessarily will. There's so many characters to be brought into this. You know, how does Tar-Valon fit into this? Because we've already been there. You know, are they going to go to Faldar and do the whole return and, you know, like just go back to that city? You know, will they skip that? Will they somehow, you know, just get caught in some form or fashion, get brought out there? You know what I mean? Not have that Leandrin plot, not even return to Tar-Valon. Anyways, my mind kind of, whenever I go to season 2, I'm like, we haven't got season 1 yet, and I'm just like, now I'm overwhelmed with, because we're starting to get, thanks to you guys and others, we're starting to get like information about this. You know, we have Elaine, which means potentially Caemlyn. But can you do Caemlyn, Tyr, and Falma, and Tar-Valon, and Faldara in a single season? Like, does that make sense to you, Omar, that we would actually go to Caemlyn, or do you think they'll stay out of Caemlyn in season 2?
Short answer is I don't know, so I'll speculate. But you're right. To see Caemlyn, Carrion, Falma, and Tyr is a bit of a stretch. So potentially they can combine some of these. I can also see Elaine pop up in that tower as opposed to in in Caemlyn proper. So that could happen. The other thing to mention here is we have the Seanchan, who will likely show up in season 2. And I think the comment by Rafe about the Forsaken is that what I understood from it, they might be hidden, they might be there, but you don't know that that's who they are. So we're going to see 2 baddies show up in season 2, right? So where would you, how does that inform the topic of, is this Falma or is this not? Because if we assume that the Seanchan will be there and they need a base of operations, now that could be Falma / Carrion or the Land of the Tree Killers. So, you know, that they combine those 2. But I think it's a stretch to get like 4 big major cities introduced in that second season.
And this is the complication, right? Because the Aiel. do you go to the Aiel at this point? I mean, yeah, maybe Lauren, you can answer this. Okay, so we just talked about this idea, and I saw Katie Sadai is in chat and she said, we know we're going to Caemlyn in season 2, but we don't necessarily know we're going to Caemlyn. We believe we're getting Elaine, but that doesn't. Am I forgetting something? To me, it's like we know we're getting Elaine, so that suggests potentially Caemlyn. Doesn't have to be Caemlyn, but you figure, okay, we have Elaine. Maybe we do get some in Caemlyn. Kyrian, Tyr, Falma, the Aiel Waste. You know, at some level, I wonder if this is where the budget, you tell me on this, Lauren, because they've already built the set, and this is me being kind of stupid, can they now we can build 4 more? In other words, can we start expecting that we're going to get another big set? Since we got, it sounds like we're going to Tar-Valon, right? Can they spend that budget and give us something else? And so are we likely to maybe see a second set that maybe it's Caemlyn that we're getting? Do we have to go to the Aiel Waste, in your opinion, in season 2?
Well, you know, I feel like most people agree that once we get to book 4, that's when the series really takes off. You know, and the first 3 books are amazing, don't get me wrong, but they're kind of formulaic. They kind of follow the same formula. And then we get to the Aiel Waste, and it's like, oh, this is an epic fantasy series, you know? And so I get the impression that Rafe also wants to get there. He wants to get to the Aiel Waste. And I want to see more gingers, of course, in the desert. I would say I'm not so convinced that Caemlyn will be in the second season. The big question here is, if Caemlyn isn't in the season, how does Rand meet Elaine? because they'll have to conjure up some way for them to meet if he isn't going through Camelin. I mean, is it possible that he goes through Camelin on his way to Tyr or something, and that's how he maybe falls into the garden? I don't know. They don't necessarily need to build a lot of big sets. You know, like in The Witcher, they have kind of like these wide shots of cities, and then it's just very closed sets. And they may be able to do something like that for something like Camelin, because for the most part, it's like big wide city, maybe like one street, and then Rand's in the palace. And the palace can all just be built, on a soundstage somewhere. So I don't know. I think it's possible. I don't think we're going to get 4 major locations. One of the other things I was thinking about is the budget. They've budgeted a lot for season 1. I'm assuming it's the same or more for season 2, but also it won't be until season 1 comes out and they kind of get that fan reception and they see how people are liking it, whether or not they'll want to fully commit. I have a feeling that they're probably trying to be careful about the number of locations in season 2, just like they were careful in season 1. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think we'll get all those big cities.
Well, and if you look at, hopefully you've all read this article. You need to go read it on WoTSeries. There's just a ridiculous amount of information here. These 2 other locations were spotted since season 2 filming began. Talking a location in Austria here, and a second location in Croatia. And the amount of work that's gone in here to, this is the one that you should talk about with Madeline Madden here. Nice. I love that shot there. It does seem, and maybe you can give some information on this, what you think is the case, Omar. As far as budgets are concerned, is there any reason to believe that they would have less of a budget if they've greenlit a season 2? Should we just assume the same amount, maybe 12 to 15 million an episode, or is that just kind of like on a year-to-year basis or whatever? How do they do that? Do you have maybe a concept of how they set a budget when they haven't even released the show for a season 2?
For when, and again, this is public information. To my understanding, and this is not coming from a person who's done it before, so please don't take it as actual expertise in the field, but based on reviewing documents and filings, etc. The production company is putting in an application with the Czech Film Commission for incentives, because you're getting 20% back on expenditures within the country. On it has to go to local companies and craftsmen and crew, etc. And they have like 600 crew members working within the Czech Republic on the show. So you do have to budget to get that incentive. They have a budget already for season 2. We've seen it. We've seen a listing of the application with the Czech Film Commission, so I would assume it's listed. Now, is it more expensive? The way I'd like to approach this, and again, I could be wrong on this, is that I'm going to build up a business. I'm going to open up a business. There are some initial costs that go in that I don't have to incur in the second year of the business. I built up some sets that I'm going to reuse and some of that. So it is possible that the budget drops just because I already built some sets. Now they have to build new sets, but some of the stuff you get to reuse, like Tarvalin you'll get to reuse, or some of the sets on the soundstage. If they have anything, I think John reported something about the ways. They might have that. Now, whether they dismantle and have to bring it back up or they use the ways, we don't know. But yeah, it could be lower. But again, the show's the show. There's some fixed cost to the actors, whom I assume would make more money down the line, and so they have to budget for that. But yeah, I do see it maybe coming down a little bit. But it doesn't look like they're pulling back, because again, they are still going to new countries. We're literally, again, I'll say it again, 7-8 countries that they're filming in. That's not cheap at all. Setting up an infrastructure and taking all those people with you sometimes. You're using local crews, but you're taking your crew and gaffers and grip and all that other stuff.
But to that, and maybe back to you just quickly, Omar, on this one. 7 to 8 countries. Remind us how many countries they filmed in for season 1. Do you have that number in mind, like for comparisons?
Well, we did Slovenia. We did some the Two Rivers filming there. We did Croatia. Most of the filming was in the Czech Republic, so that's 3. We know they did Canary Islands in Tenerife. They might have hit Morocco, and we know that they did Segovia in Spain. They did the Logain shots there at the castle.
Yep.
So we have, what, 5+1, give or take, maybe. So, but again, that's substantial for, what they did. And I just don't see them, now that they start diversifying the looks, and as we can see from Italy, it doesn't seem that they're going to pull back on that.
Yeah, and you've already said, like, the idea of having already, I mean, if I understand correctly, already this, for the second season, 7 or 8 countries. Is that correct?
No, I don't think it's. I don't think it's specifically for the second season.
Okay.
I think today.
Gotcha, totally.
But yeah, what we know right now for sure for the second season, we know about Italy and we know about the Czech Republic.
Okay.
We've heard about Morocco, but that has not been confirmed anywhere. We've tried to get it confirmed. We've tried to reach out to local entities, etc., but nothing that we've been able to confirm on that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I appreciate you kind of clarifying that. You guys are the experts on this, and I can't honestly keep it. I don't know how you gonna keep it up in mind. It was cool that you were like, we did this country, and I'm like, I know we've talked about this, but it's not one of those things I'm holding in my head. I want to answer this poll for those of you that will Camelin be in season 2. There's a lot of hope here. If you had to, and maybe go to you, Lauren, on this question, if you had to kind of decide, as a fan right now, and you had to pick between a season 2 really making a big deal about Camelin, or really digging in to Tyr, or deciding that you were going to actually, set up the Seanchan, but maybe going to the Seanchan continent, or you're going to maybe set up the Aiel because you need people, you don't want that just to drop in there necessarily out of the blue. If you had to pick between those 4, like, I'm going to focus on basically Camelin, I'm going to focus on Tyr, I'm going to focus on the Seanchan continent or the Aiel Waste, where would you go if you were Rafe right now? I know, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think you would have to. I mean, the nice thing about Tyr is you can at least get the Aiel introduced, because that's where they're introduced anyway, right? So that helps. And I was going to say, by the way, what amazing work that the WoTSeries.com people do. It's so great to hear kind of some of the behind the scenes about how the internet sleuthing that you guys do. I'm so impressed, and I need to be better about reading all those detailed things in the articles. I was going to say, we've talked a lot about the first season, and we know that they shot in what we know to be Faldara, if I'm not mistaken, right, for the last 2 episodes. But there's also a lot we don't know about those last 2 episodes, right? So is it possible they introduce something like the Seanchan a little bit earlier on? Maybe we start to see some of that influence earlier, and that way they can kind of wrap it up mid-season 2 and get us right through Camelin and then to Tyr. Maybe that's how they do it. I mean, Matt goes through Camelin on his way to Tyr. Why couldn't Rand do the same?
Yeah, no, that's a good point I hadn't considered, which was, we always think that we know everything that's happened, right? We've seen all the places because we've maybe at this point gotten spoiled a little bit with this idea of we must have discovered or uncovered most things, if not all things, And maybe, like you're saying, that there are obviously some things they're doing on the stages, things that behind the scenes that we can't see. Or maybe there is a place they've visited, some other country where they've done some shooting. Maybe we're going to get some shots about the Seanchan early. And maybe that's a fun, while we're doing some polls here, are we going to see the Seanchan? Now, where we're at, we're getting close here to actually seeing season 1. Are we going to see the Seanchan in season 1? I want to know where people are. We've asked this question before. I'm kind of curious. Where are you at, Lauren, on this question? It obviously makes sense to kind of introduce them a little bit. Do you think we're going to see Seanchan in season 1 at this point?
I think we may see some ships coming in the distance, or some sort of, I almost see it like an end credits scene or something at the end of the season where it's like, oh no, there's this new threat coming, just when we thought we were safe or whatever. I could see them doing some sort of cliffhangery type thing, but I could also see maybe we have some, Rafe has said we're going to get more point of views than what we get in the initial books. Why not see Leandrin interfacing with Suroth, for example, or Turok, and I know we don't know if Bail Doman has been cast, right? Maybe we can see some of these scenes, or Padam Fane. Padam Fane meeting with Turok early. Is it Turok or Turok?
Turok.
Turok, yeah. So I mean, they could definitely introduce it through some small scenes here and there, but then make it more of a focus in season 2. I think it's very possible.
Yeah, that's. I would like to. I mean, I'm hopeful that we get something, right? Just like someone mentioned, saw in chat, Rafe gave us the Aiel apparently in season 1 in a cage. That was an interesting nod. We know that the Great Hunt, we start to get a little bit of the Aiel, and then we that builds over time, obviously. So maybe we're going to get a little bit. And I guess the ships would make the most sense to me. Like, show some ships coming in to a harbor of some sort, or maybe just on the horizon you see them. That would make the most sense. But I am hopeful, and for those of you that are out there watching this, I'm curious what you're hopeful for in chat. Do you want to see the Seanchan continent? Do you want Rafe and his team to take us to Seanchan at this point? Maybe in season 2, if you will. Not in season 1, but you actually want to go there because we don't get that much of it in the book. Right? We don't really. It doesn't really. Do you have an opinion on that, Omar? Do you want to actually see them develop the Seanchan from their continent, as though basically get an idea of what this return actually looks like, versus because we get a feel for like the ships and we get a feel for like people coming in. Do you hope that Rafe kind of takes like a Logain step here and expands the Seanchan's spot in the series?
It is possible. I mean, one of the things I think about, and that's not where my mind is all the time, but when just background, is Logain good or bad in season 1? Is he a good person or a bad person? Is he a good player or a bad player? In the first book, almost everybody we meet, except for with the guy and fire in his eyes, right, Shamael, most even the White Cloaks, they mean well. They think they're doing the right thing, but they're not. We don't see a lot of people that we can guess they're, light or shadow. So I think, is there a move to say we're going to associate the Seanchan with the shadow? One of the things that bothers me personally about the Horn of Valier, the Seanchan are not of the shadow. And, when the Battle of Falma happens, why are we getting Hawkwing to come and mow down the Seanchan? I just never got that. It's, again, some people might disagree with me. So maybe there's that change association, so we do get to see a little bit more of Seanchan. I do agree with Lauren that maybe we see ships at the end. I would like to see it that way because we did see the route maze. The only thing I can associate that with is the Blight and Emmons Field 5 plus Lan and Moraine going to the Eye of the World. So that takes, we get Logain by episode 5-6, and then now we get to the end, and we're going to do the Eye of the World or something like that. You end the season there, but you tell us a little bit, a cliffhanger about what's happening next season. Here's the new danger. But that's on our shores, our land. I'm not sure if we'll see the other. I would love to have them fit it, but now we just went from, hey, can we do 5? Can we go down to 3? Now we're saying, can we go from 5 to 6? So that'll be kind of challenging a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm seeing this, by the way, in chat is answering the same question with us. Lots of people are like, no, let's not do it. We don't have time for it. And I would agree with this idea that there's so much to show us that actually getting there. But yeah, Silverbells and Narishma said, I absolutely want to see the Seanchan in season 2. A huge part of obviously seeing them for sure. As a 6-foot stack of books said, no, Seanchan, we have too much to cover in Randland. It's a whole to add a whole continent. I love that. To answer this poll right here, thank you to those that voted. Are we going to see the Seanchan in season 1? No. The majority that answered don't believe we're going to see them at all. And I think that has something to do with your reporting and the reporting of, in other words, if WoTUp and WoTSeries and others haven't discovered the Seanchan, I feel like fandom, at least this fandom sitting here in chat's like, no, we're basically never going to get them. Taylor, can you, I think there was a tip someone threw us out there, and I think I lost it. Oh, there it is. This is from Chilio Dell. Thank you very much. I said a lot of rumors about the Seanchan in book 1. Would be cool to see a little of them. Good mystery going into season 2. Yeah, maybe some rumors. That would make a lot of sense. I love that idea. And then we have this one from Musu. Thank you very much for the tip. Said, what if we have the Faldara Dark Prophecy in episode 8 that talks about Tomid Head, and we see visuals of the Seanchan ships approaching Falma? That very well could be the way to go about it, which is give us some reason to kind of have one of those moments where they like read the prophecy or like, and then all of a sudden it's that cut scene to the ships on the horizon. I love that idea. Okay, we're gonna go here just for a couple more minutes. I want to end this with a theory discussion. And that's right, it has to be ending with a theory discussion tonight before we let you all go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little in-studio beta test, and it's awesome to have you guys here. So thank you very much for being here. I want to show you all on the screen what I want you to be theorizing with me about. So let me throw this. You've seen this before, I'm assuming. This is the Wheel of Time trailer. And this came up recently, and I don't have a great answer for it. This is a question I have, which is where is this Waygate? And the reason why I'm asking where this Waygate is because a lot of us made a big deal about there's this picture. Remember this? Everyone was like, "Look, it's an Ogre Grove," and this, that's great because they're going to give us the Ogre Grove, and maybe they'll give us a Waygate here. But what we see happening in this moment here at the end is Moraine is waiting at this Waygate. The assumption very much is from the metadata they're waiting to go into the Waygate. This isn't coming out of the Waygate. We have people here, which is Matt, and I believe this is Rand, Nynaeve, and Lan, coming up to the Waygate, and this Waygate is somewhere. So what are your theories, Lauren? I want to throw this to you, and I want to ask everybody in chat, where is this Waygate? Because they're going into it to Faldara. This is not the Waygate coming out of, as far as I understand all the metadata and everything else. So that is the theory on the table. For those of you in chat, you can answer us, and I want to go. Yeah, Lauren, you've had a moment. I've given you a moment to think about this. What do you think, Lauren? Where is this Waygate?
Seanchan. No, I don't know. That's something I've wondered too. I mean, obviously the surrounding area around Tower Valen is so not like that shot. That feels like a grassy hill in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. I've wondered about that, and
yeah, that doesn't look. I mean, I guess you could say there's kind of some hills around here, right? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, this almost makes me feel like, you remember I think it's book 2, when they want to go into the ways, they go to the steading. They can't use the ways because the black wind is there, so then they end up using the portal stone. It almost feels like something like that, where it's just on the outside of a nice green grove and not actually in the grove. But it doesn't look like it's on the island at all of Tar Valon. So, yeah, I really don't know. I maybe it's just in the middle of nowhere and they're not going to really explain that. Maybe they'll just kind of leave Tar Valon and go off in the middle of nowhere. I don't know.
Okay, so Omar, I'm gonna get your opinion on this shortly, but I want to post this, and a couple of people have brought this up. Maybe eliminate where it's not. That's a great point. We can talk about that. This clearly is not in Tar Valon. The city of Tar Valon, this is not sitting there. This is episode 6, as far as we're aware, from the metadata. So we have a reason to believe that they have to congregate in some form or fashion. We have reason to believe that some of these people were certainly in Tar Valon around episode 5 at the very least, was what we think. So, because we know they go to Tar Valon. So people are saying outside Tar Valon, but why would there be a Waygate outside Tar Valon when we have an Ogre Grove? So, and this is to Bogue's point, might be mixing that Waygate portal stones idea. So I think, this is my theory coming out of this, that they did mix these concepts, that the portal stone Waygate is one thing. We're not going to actually see Waygates in Ogre Groves. That's what I'm suggesting is potentially what this is telling us. Okay, that's my thought, Omar. What is your thought?
I'm going to stick to what I know. That Waygate is in Zayakov, the town in the Czech Republic. And they do come out. Actually, I don't do a lot of headcanon stuff, but where there was one area called, I think, Serbesko or Serbeski. It was a quarry, and they were supposed to have used horses there. And that always struck me as like, the time that they did that filming is when they came back from COVID in September. So that seemed like coming into Faldara, walking into that one and coming out from the other way. But this one, I do agree, it's not in Tar Valon. It is a little bit curious. I mean, we know that Nynaeve finds land, but I don't know why they're waiting there. Maybe Moraine found a reason to go to Van Dien and Edelius, and now I'm getting ahead of myself and don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I don't have a good guess. I just think it's not in Tarvalon, and I agree with that.
Yeah, this is confusing, and that's what I love about this one. I don't think this is one of the ones people are talking about. We're talking about Steppenwolf a lot. The Steppenwolf theory is definitely being discussed, but where in the world is this Waygate? And that one, I haven't seen anyone kind of throw out like a great. And yes, the Waystone or Portal Gate is what a lot of these names. This has to be on their way to Faldara. Just has to be. Sorry, yeah, go ahead. You had a thought here.
Well, and the way that they're separated, the way that they're grouped is odd too, because we don't know for sure that they're all going to be at Tarvalon. It's possible that Nynaeve, Lan, and Moraine make it to Tarvalon after the Loghain incident. This is my assumption, that the Loghain incident happens, then they go to Tarvalon. That's my assumption. But we don't know that they've necessarily met up with Rand and Mat at that point, right? And Loyal, if that's Loyal in the background, maybe that's when they're meeting him. I don't know. I just think it's a little odd that you've got Lan and Nynaeve and Rand and Mat, right, coming to the gate. And that means that Egwene and Perrin and Moraine are already at the gate, right? So, like, there's a big gap there. And this is another thing we've all speculated about. Most of the shots come from the first 1 or 2 episodes, maybe the first 3, and then we've got maybe 1 or 2 shots in episode 6, like that Waygate shot. There's a lot of middle stuff there. We don't know what happened, how people were separated, how they met up. Who knows? Maybe Caemlyn's in there. I don't know. There's still a lot we don't know in the middle there.
Yeah, and this, I like to say, and this point is brought up in chat. Davey Elmer said, "Are you 100% sure that we can totally discern what's on the Tarvalon Island just based on that wide shot?" That's true. I will admit that this shot here doesn't show us exactly. There's another shot earlier on, right here, right there, where we still don't see necessarily what is on the other side. So I would agree with that. We can't, but it's hard to imagine that. I guess for me, it's hard to imagine that this is actually on the island. But I will say that I did just note this. If you go a little bit, let me go back here, everyone. Oh, no, it's when they come up. So let me go further up. And I could be seeing things. This happens from time to time. There it is, everybody. You'll notice that what looks like a body of water potentially grows here at the... Oh, you can't see it here on the screen. Let me work this out so you can, everybody. And now it's just smaller, so it's going to be harder to see. But if you notice, let's back it up, and it looks like land here in this far corner, in this bottom left. It's to the left of Mat, just above the Prime Video logo, where you start to see what looks like a lighter color, and this could be a body of water right there. And so that looks like it could be the river, right? So you almost see that, and maybe I could be seeing things. Maybe that's just clouds. Whatever. I could be, like I said. Maybe it's just clouds, everybody. This is a great question. It ends up continuing to be a mystery. I do believe that this is suggestive that they have mixed these concepts. Now they might not have. They might just say this is a Waygate, a distance away of some sort, but it doesn't look like it's a Waygate near an Ogier Grove. I could be wrong, or like part of it, right? So this is a fun one, and I wanted to end on kind of a fun theory and mystery, everyone. And I'm curious what everyone's going to say. If you're watching this afterwards, please leave us a comment. Where do you think this Waygate's at? And like I said, we have reason to believe that needs more blurring, Marissa. Yeah, I'll try to go verify that is water over there. Like I said, it very well could just be a cloud. So thank you very much for those of you entertaining us here with your chats. Yeah, Dana Lou says it's the sky. I get it, Koala said, I love how many things we can imagine we see when Mat starts talking. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to go back to my guests, and maybe let me jump to you, Lauren. Any final thoughts before we let everyone go here about today's convention, our discussion that we had at FanX, just your experience there being on a panel, talking about the Wheel of Time, or, just, where you're at now as we approach the last 2 months. 2 months, everybody. It's the 18th, 2 months to go.
Thanks for having me. This has been so great, and it's just so fun to be a part of all of this. Honestly, to be on that panel was kind of surreal for me because for so many years I've just been a fan in the background, and to be able to kind of be there on that stage with you and with Omar it was wonderful. You guys are awesome, and I just can't wait. I feel like, again, that snowball's just barely starting to roll. I think this is just going to snowball and just get bigger and bigger, and I'm so excited to take that ride with everybody. As far as all these little, I wasn't kidding in the panel when I said we've looked at all the pixels, haven't we? Those were some pixels I missed. I'm going to have to go analyze that a little better. But yeah, I just can't wait. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be such a fun ride. And yet 2 months. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it was awesome to have you there. Honestly, when I was sitting there, I was like, no, we know what we're talking about. I was looking at the audience like, they're expecting that we know what we're talking about, but we've done this now for a couple of years, doing the same discussion, and it was just sharing that. What I realized was there's so much wealth of information. It was impossible in 45 minutes to even imagine we were going to tell anyone anything significant. We hit some highlights there, but it was awesome to be sitting there with you both. Yeah, final thoughts from you, Omar, just about this experience at Comic-Con, or I guess FanX Comic Convention, and then the fact that we have 2 months left.
Well, I'm what they call a squint, so we usually sit in rooms searching the internet. We don't go to the conventions as much, but I did walk the floor quite a bit, and one thought that kept on coming back over and over and over again, because you see all the people in the costumes, and you see all the paintings and the artist corners, and to get the idea of coming back next year and seeing a whole lot of Wheel of Time characters and art and Funko Pops and all that other stuff is going to be really, really nice. It's not going to be as small, but also, I appreciate seeing Alyssa was kind of great, because I remember from the submissions to the Idol competition, and then we talk on the Facebook page. So just getting to meet Lauren, I've met you before, and being here for the first time for the first live one is great. Really, really appreciated the opportunity and being able to do it. But again, we have some really, really cool stuff to look forward to in the coming future after 2 months. We have to see what happens. Now we have New York Comic-Con happening. Yeah. We get to see the cast next month. We're going to try, by the way, WoTSeries will try to provide live coverage from New York. Nice. We'll work that out. But again, super excited to be here. Happy birthday, Taylor. It's really amazing to get to see the magic. By the way, sorry nobody can see it, but we saw it a little bit on CouchCon at JordanCon, but getting to see it here is a treat. So thank you again.
Yeah, happy birthday to Taylor. And Ben brought this up. I think our last show, we didn't have any callers, and today we just didn't have time to figure out how to get callers into this, but we will. Eventually, we will have live studio and also virtual guests and callers all together in a single, just because that's what Taylor loves to do. When I just tell people this is what we're gonna do, and he's always in the corner like, wow, thanks a lot. So yes, happy birthday to Taylor. It was awesome. Thank you very much, Taylor, for putting the time in. The studio's is wonderful. Someday we'll do it behind the scenes for everybody and show you what he's put together. And thank you both. It was so fun just to be on a panel with you at in Salt Lake and just talking about this. And like you said, New York Comic Con's coming up, everybody. We have obviously the next trailer. We don't know when that's going to hit. That's coming up. And then obviously we're getting, before this year ends, we'll have seen the entirety of season 1 of The Wheel of Time. So that's exciting. Hopefully you all enjoyed this little beta test. Thanks for being with us. We'll look to get some of your comments about how this went, how you think this went, here for you watching this. What can we do to make this experience better for those of you that are watching? And remember, you can jump in. I know it's a late one. I probably won't have time to jump into Discord, but if you want to jump over there and just say hi to folks that you're used to seeing after the show, please feel free that you can do that. And we will be back, not tomorrow. We normally do have a Sunday episode. It won't be then. It will be Wednesday. And we'll be back. I'll try to get ahead of the schedule. I know everyone's kind of like, hey, when are you going to show us what's coming for the next 2 months? There's a lot happening right now. We'll get there. And thank you, Brando, for that tip. Happy birthday, Taylor. Don't spend it all in one place. Love that. So thank you all for being here, sticking around an extra half an hour so we could get this up and running. Really appreciate that ended up working out. This was a fun conversation. I loved having you guys here in the studio and just chatting. Okay, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much, like I said, for sticking around. You done? You ready, Taylor? You want to call this one out? You want to come around and end this show? I don't look good. I'm going to have Taylor close us out here at the Dusty Wheel. And I think you weren't ready for this, but it's a good birthday.
What if all three of us?
Oh, yeah, over there. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we got this. I think that's a great idea. So here we go. We're gonna put the camera over on our three wonderful guests, including Taylor over there. And so let's do that, and then I will help control things over here. So Taylor, I'll leave it to you. You got to talk close to the mic.
Oh yes. Sorry. Thank you all for coming to the first iteration, or maybe I don't know how many times we've done this, but the first real iteration of a in-studio live stream. I can't wait to continue doing it. So, good night from the Dusty Wheel. And as we say around here, smash the black!
Welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like, this is one of the biggest scenes.
And now I'm like, great, my turn?
And if you don't like that, you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So,
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm
Sad.
not
I see Nakomi as something along the lines of a Shada Haran analog.
it does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge. Yay!
Pair of like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like
This
all
is
of a
not
sudden,
just
it's like,
a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
And
elements.
just a
for
moment
those that are
ago,
kind of interested.
Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guests in here with me. And
Probably I would say put in 70, 80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,